everybody, Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of chatting with bassist, arranger, programmer, and so much more, Eric Whatley.
What's up, guys?
So, Eric, I know we've got all kinds of interesting things to talk about, but as always, we like to start from the beginning. How did you get started in music and on bass?
Well, I've been playing music probably since I was like 5 or so years old. Started in church, like messing around on stuff, and then I ended up going to school and playing in school, playing the trumpet and the bass. I picked that up probably when I was about 12 or 13 years old, and kind of ran me into college and everything afterwards. Now, went to UArts for about 4 years, graduated in 2015. So ever since then, I've just been doing music. That's all it is for me. That's all there ever was.
With that, you are very busy playing with a variety of acts currently. Again, you've been playing with John Legend. You've got your band, Chrome L's. You've been doing some work with Chromeo, Fat Joe, all kinds of stuff. Tell us a little bit about, I guess, the hustle. Tell us about everything that you're up to.
Well, it's a challenge in life. It's always been a dream of mine to kind of do what I'm doing now, working with major artists and, kind of touring and traveling. It's absolutely a blessing to be able to do it nonetheless for a living. Mm-hmm. But it is absolutely demanding, both physically, mentally, all of the above. It'll really push you to the max. I just actually got back home on Sunday from doing a full European tour with John Legend, and we were going for 28 days. We went through about 13 countries in those 28 days. Mm-hmm. So it was just literally every day was either a show day or a travel day. And, after a while, you start to get beat up. You're around all the same people every day. So somebody sneezes and it gets on your nerves because you've just been around everybody for so long, But it's a blessing nonetheless. I got to see so many countries that I've never been to. Like, I got to go to the pyramids in Egypt. That was our first place with some time off. Like, I really enjoyed myself there. Just seeing the world is a blessing, mm-hmm. and being able to do it on not necessarily somebody else's dime, but for them to pay me to do it, is a blessing nonetheless.
Totally. From what I hear, you're kind of in the realm of R&B, jazz, funk, kind of.
I like to play everything in all honesty, but I feel like my break-in has kind of been with the whole, R&B, pop, hip-hop, jazz. Mm-hmm. I went to school for jazz. So I went to UArts for University of the Arts in Philadelphia, and jazz is kind of in the roots. Jazz, gospel music, classical music, that's all within my roots. That's what I've done my entire life. So it's just a blessing to be able to play, fun music kind of. Not that music isn't fun, but music in front of large, crazy crowds that are just like going nuts and enjoying it. It's very much a blessing to see that type of stuff. But I enjoy playing all types of music. But with John, it's all, R&B. He has some pop music, and, he's starting to get a little bit of edgy and add his hip hopness to it now. Mm-hmm. And, I haven't done a lot of shows with Fat Joe. We did the Tiny Desk with him, and that was a fun, really like show my hip hop chops and things I could play that are a little different.
Yeah.
Not the standard things you would play on a bass guitar or on a keyboard.
Very nice, very nice. Well, it is good to have the ability to kind of fill the need, whatever they're asking for. Because again, with jazz, it's a real, especially when it comes to the purists, it's a real kind of love or hate kind of thing, because there has been such a decrease in the jazz audiences and venues where you can play. And as you mentioned, most of them are small. A lot of them are not hanging on there, and, you have to be really true jazz lovers, to kind of even seek it out.
Most of your audience tends to be traditional musicians or people that are really just insane music heads. Other than that, you're not really going to get the average Joe Schmo that's super interested in jazz. You might, but it's not as rare nowadays. It was at one point the original pop music, but it's no longer considered technically pop music,
Oh, totally. Well, if you look back, I had the opportunity to talk with Reggie Workman a few years back, and Reggie played with Coltrane and Monk and all these cats back in the day when this was just getting started. And you're right, it was music for everybody. It was like the
It
popular
was the
music.
popular music. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then it just kind of started going its own direction, and it maybe is not as danceable as it used to be. And, so many of those charts, they were never written. They were all by memory. All these cats they knew the songs.
They just knew the music. Yep.
Yeah. And so, the audiences would learn the music kind of the same way, and they knew what to expect. And that's why it was so popular. But,
A lot of the songs had lyrics as well, too.
totally.
A lot of them had lyrics, and people barely anybody knows the lyrics today. But some of them,
And it got a lot of contemporary jazz. You're absolutely right. It does get kind of disjointed. And so if you're not really into that, I could see where some people might go, "Oh, what's this? I'm not enjoying this as much as I wish I was." But,
Yeah, this is not what I'm used to. This is not the bebop I grew up on.
Oh, totally.
Or however they feel it,
Totally. Well, very cool stuff. How are you getting your sound? What kind of gear you playing on?
Well, currently with John Legend, I'm really even before John Legend, I've been a big Elixir fan. Like, I've always loved Elixir strings, and to me, it's just the feel of them, the tone of them, the longevity. Like, in my eyes, you can't beat any of those things altogether. Especially summed up for me, my personal sound. I very much enjoy them because once they get into that little sweet spot, you got so much time with them before they become dead. You might not even realize it when they become dead because they just sit in the sweet spot for so long. You might get rid of them before you need to. I tend to do that most of the time on the road just to stay fresh. But they're amazing strings. I use them along with Fender basses right now. I'm very much enjoying Fender Deluxe Jazz Bass. I mean, the Fender Ultra Jazz Bass American is a great 5-string instrument I use. They wanted us to use all white gear for the Vegas residency, so Fender kind of set me up and helped me out with that, and
Nice.
they're great basses. You can't really beat them. It's a reason why it's one of the oldest names and why it's been around for so long. So you can't really beat them. I use a Galen Kruger amp. I've always been a GK fan since I was younger, even before I started really working. So to use that with the new Fusion 1200S and the new Neo 4 cabinets, which are like some of the most durable gear ever. I've used other gear and it's just not as durable to me. So like it might get you through the first, couple weeks of tour, but once you beating on it every night, and you might not even be really beating on it, but once you're using it every night, it kind of starts to lose a little bit of it. It doesn't really maintain its sound and its crispness as long as a GK amp will. GK will get you through as long as you need to be. Nice. I use that, and I use Rolling Gaia, or either that or a Moog, depending on the situation. But most of the time, I use the Rolling Gaia, and I use that with my main stage. And all the sounds I use are pretty much Rolling Cloud sounds. They have the ultimate. Like, to me, I call it the cheat code. All the sounds from all the vintage boards, from the Jupiter to the Juno to the Pro Mars, all the vintage sounds, and anything that's super beefy with nice low end that I can use to turn into whatever I'm trying to create. Those are pretty much all the small things I use. And I also use this thing called a backbeat. It's probably one of my favorite things I've discovered over the past few years, but it makes it perfect for whenever I'm playing on a big stage, and I don't really tend to use much larger than a 410 or a 412. Mm-hmm. So even if sometimes they might not even have the amp on stage, they might have it off stage. And when they do, I don't miss a beat when I got the backbeat on my back. It's like a sub, but it's not super big. It fits right on your strap. It literally supplies everything. That's the other half of having in-ears as far as I'm concerned. I have in-ears and I need that. If I have those two, I'm great no matter where I go on the stage, whether they got me doing choreo on the complete other side, nowhere near my riser, and I can't feel the subs, I'll still be able to feel my bass and I won't worry about anything. So those are the main things I use right now, and they kind of all make my life super easy.
Nice. Well, we've heard great things, especially with large venues that may be running just straight to front of house, that you're missing that feel of the air pushing around you to kind of tie in with the drummer more often than not, because you can feel them.
You can feel his thump. You can't feel your own.
Exactly.
It's never a good feeling.
Exactly. So we've heard a lot of rave reviews about the backbeats. And are you working on a wireless system?
Yeah, I normally use a wireless. Like they normally have like a Shure wireless system for the
Hmm.
bass, and it's just everything is on the strap, like the wireless pack, the backbeat, and my in-ear pack will be on me, but everything else will just be on the strap. And like we'll unhook my strap, plug it up to charge it, and change the batteries in the pack if need be. But the strap has everything on it, keeps me safe.
Yeah. Now that sounds like it's got to be it's kind of like Batman's belt. It's got
Absolute
everything
utility
on
belt.
it. Yeah. Any
Yeah.
particular kind of strap?
I don't use anything particular. I'm using this one right now. I actually ended up having a shoulder issues a little bit earlier this year, and I only had a little calcium deposit, and we got rid of it and everything. So I've been like jumping around from strap to strap trying to find one that's really comfortable. And recently, I found this one from Levy's I've been using that like has like a little bit of give to it, so it almost
Hmm.
makes you feel like your instrument is floating, and it's like kind of very comfortable to me. It's been what I've been using recently, and I think I'm kind of gonna stick with it until I find, I'm still gonna look around, but
Sure.
whatever hits. Right now this is the one I like. It feels great on my shoulder, so that's what's important to me. The feel more than anything. It needs to feel good on my shoulder. Like don't want
Gotcha.
to push myself too far, injure myself. So that's the way I try to keep it.
I hear you. Well, and I know that Groove Gear, they have a variety of straps, but there was one in particular that when you mentioned all this stuff attached to it, the David Ellefson signature strap,
Hmm.
they designed that with room to attach, like your wireless systems and all
Hmm.
this stuff.
The
And,
goodies.
and so that kind of popped to mind. Pedal wise, you're probably using a very straight sound. My guess is with R&B
I
and pop.
For the most part, I use a straight sound, and occasionally I use like an octave pedal,
Hmm.
and I use that, maybe mix it with like I have a Mooger Fooger low pass filter, envelope filter, so that those two kind of match together, or even just by itself, just the right octave. I kind of, for me, I like it on like high impact moments in music because it's like distortion for bass, but it's not distortion. It's kind of just gives me like a little beefiness and a growl to it. So I
Hmm.
kind of like to use it in that aspect. Somebody who does it a lot and who I've very much copied a lot of style from, Derek Hodge. He uses the octave pedal in certain ways. Like it's not the whole song is an octave, but it's just for impactful moments, and it kind of will change the way you would think about it. Somebody you hear him use it with crazy is Maxwell. Like I've never heard anybody use an octave pedal until I like listened to him play with Maxwell. It's like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're using it like it's a game booster
Yeah.
just for this moment, and then you're going back to being yourself. I like it. That's pretty much all I use for pedals. I don't really touch much else. I have a lot of other pedals, but for the most part, with the R&B, you don't really need much else.
Yeah.
Same with hip hop. Any of my sounds that I would be needing to be different would be like on a keyboard, and I'll be key bass or 808s or something like that.
You're absolutely right. So much, especially when you look back kind of as history went by, before there were pedals, it was whatever sound your bass could give you. And so it was all in the hands, the strings, the wood, and, then the amp. And I remember somebody had sent us an inquiry. They wanted to know about some old band sound. And when I kind of looked up, there were no pedals. It was just the way the amp sounded. It had its own kind of
Hmm.
distorted growl, and they were overdriving it, so it was giving them that particular sound. But that's about all you did. I mean, the rest was all
All you, it's the
controlled.
hands.
Oh
Yep,
yeah,
it's all the hands. That's where your real tone is at. It's all in your hands, and then no bass, no nothing else but your hands. That controls the ultimate sound of your instrument.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And as you mentioned, so many other people. Do you have any particular players that you use as your inspiration when you're creating your lines, or somebody that you kind of go, okay, this is how I kind of want to sound?
So I grew up in Philadelphia. That's where I'm from,
Hmm.
and there's these four guys from our area, from this area, who are kind of like a staple to the music industry: Adam Blackstone, Derek Hodge, Thaddeus Tribbett, and Dwayne Moore, and they're all my favorite bass players. And of course, I have the Jockos and the Anthony Jacksons
Hmm.
and all of those people that are also amazing. But those four, like when it comes to playing multiple genres and being very versatile and just knowing how to kind of control your instrument in a way that fits the music more than anything else, those are the four people that I've probably listened to the most when it comes to playing shows and working with artists the right way.
Nice, nice. And as we look ahead, you've been so busy, but I know there's a lot of plans coming in the future. What's coming down the pike?
Well, right now I'm about to head back to Vegas next week to finish the second leg of John Legend's Love in Las Vegas residency, which should be super fun. I'm kind of excited for it because I have fun doing the residency. It's a little not as demanding or taxing on the body. You know, a lot more time to really recoup and recover after a show as opposed to just ripping and running. Mm-hmm. And after, we're supposed to have some small stuff here and there, you know, possibly doing little things. And then we go back to Vegas again in October, and I'm pretty sure we're going to take a break until the next year because we're going to end up doing probably a U.S. tour and a world tour sometime maybe. So I'm sure it's a bunch of things coming down the pike, but up until October, that's the only thing I know for certain as of now.
Very cool. And if people want to stay on top of what you're doing, where's the best place for them to look?
Right now, the best place to look is probably my Instagram and just getting a hold of me. Or my Instagram, my Facebook, or my Twitter. Those are really the only places. I'm working on a website for my business. So I have a business now called The Chosen Entertainment. And I'm just kind of funneling all my stuff through there and making it make sense for me that way now. So I'm starting working on that website now, and hopefully some new music and stuff like that to all come through there.
Gotcha. Well, and I didn't know about the business. So tell us a little bit about this business you got working on.
Essentially, I have a studio in Philly, so we kind of do a bunch of rehearsals and recordings and a podcast, and people have we host events. We've kind of made it like a one-stop shop type of place where you can do post-production, pre-production, and you can create. You can record a 12-piece band if you need to. You can record horns if you need to. You know, we kind of got the whole situation together. It's called the Friend Zone Studios. And essentially, I run my business out of Friend Zone Studios, which is just me as a producer, engineer, arranger, bassist. Mm-hmm. However, you know, that's my home base. So it's a cool thing. It's nice to be able to have your own space and, you know, do what you want to do there when you want to do it.
Absolutely. Well, whenever you're back at home.
Yeah, whenever I'm home, absolutely. You're right about that.
Well, Eric, we appreciate you taking time from traveling the globe and your busy schedule to talk with us and share all your insights and all this great stuff. We'll look forward to seeing great things. Folks, if you're in Vegas, catch John Legend's show. I'm sure it's amazing. You've seen him here on Bass Musician Magazine, Eric Whatley.
Thank you, Raul.